It was bizarre. And the next thing I heard from right behind me, welcome back, Eddie. Eddie, how are you? Eddie, hi. I'm like, my name's not Eddie. I don't know what you're talking about. I just got up here. Sure, Eddie, you're really funny. You're really funny, real funny. I'm like, I'm not Eddie. I don't know who Eddie is. Welcome back, Eddie. They were all saying. I finally made it to this dump of a dorm room. And before a minute had gone by, who now? Who now is going to come to find Eddie?
I had been at college the previous year with Eddie, and I knew that he wasn't coming back to school. As soon as this guy turned around, I was actually shaking. The color from my face dropped because I knew it was his double.
But there's more to it than just three triplets accidentally stumbled across each other. So that's presumably, that was an interesting story, but the reason how was probably the main focus for the film.
I think so. I mean, I think the thing that grabbed about the story is it works on so many levels. You know, you've got this amazing human story of these brothers who've been separated and then reunited, but it allows you to ask much bigger questions about nature versus nurture and about how we become who we are. And there are very few kind of documentaries that work on those kind of multiple levels.
Yeah, and Becky, we were just speaking before, there's an incredible amount of research that had to go into this to get it where it got to. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean, there were a couple of attempts to make this before, and they had been buried or sort of put on a shelf for reasons that we don't know, but finding out why that was and trying to find the people that could talk about it. I mean, it's an old story. It happened years ago. Lots of them are dead. Mm-hmm. The ones that are alive didn't particularly want to talk about it. So that was very difficult. So it was a big process of just gathering names of people who, you know, and knocking on doors and sending letters. But
critically, you got the brothers, and talk about that access, because as you said, they probably, you know, had been they had been somewhat celebrities in the 90s.
It's very rare to come across a documentary story which feels like it fits into a narrative structure so strongly, so amazingly, that it has the kind of the different acts and the changes, and really here what you have is a story which starts off as this miraculous piece of good news where these young men who've been separated from each other find each other and embark on this kind of love affair with each other because they are one, they are genetically identical, they meet themselves. And then, obviously, what happens, as we're all alluding to, is they discover there's more to both their separation and their reunification than they'd ever imagined or feared.
And Tim, talk to us about the directorial elements to this, because as you said there, you are largely a development exec and producer, but what made you want to actually go on the other side of the camera and direct this?
Well, I've directed TV documentaries before, more sort of traditional observational verite kind of style documentaries, but I think the story was just so incredible, and for me, for a documentary to exist in a cinema space and for you to justify charging people money to go and sit in the dark and watch it, it has to be at a level, the story has to be at a level that, you know, it's on a par with a narrative scripted feature film. And this was the first story I'd come across in, you know, 15, 20 years working that I felt justified that. So I had to do it.
And he did not let it go.
I was going to say...
I mean, he was like, I'm going to direct this, we're going to make this, we're going to make this. And it was years and years of total dogged determination and hanging in there against some really powerful forces which were arrayed against him. When they first were reunited, the notion that you would have three identical strangers who've been separated at birth and who meet again and are reunited by total chance. They were on the front cover of every magazine, they were on Donahue, every chat show you can imagine. They had this kind of huge euphoric high, which in the wake of which they were left pretty hollow, and as Tim says, pretty damaged, not just by that experience, but by everything that had caused their separation. So these guys had to do this incredible job of building trust with them and keeping to that trust in both the build-up to making the film and in the aftermath of the film being made. And that's a relationship that's ongoing till today.